your bio and just talk a little bit about our relationship, and and then I'm going to turn it over to you to talk about your story as an entrepreneur and as a business owner, and
Okay.
then ask you about what your first entrepreneurial moment was.
My
And the
first
left,
entrepreneurial moment?
yeah, the worst part, the worst thing that happened.
Oh, the worst. I thought you said the first.
Now, worst and what you learned from that,
Okay.
then your big aha moment and the steps that you took to turn that epiphany into your ultimate success.
Okay. My worst entrepreneurial moment.
If you can even just say, "Hey, I don't want to do that question," and we'll just move on. We'll play it by ear. It's not a formal thing, you know. Then some of the shorter questions are, what does the first 60 minutes of your day look like? We're going to look at some of your success habits.
Okay. Great.
Um,
Let's start with
we'll talk
those.
about what.
Let's save the worst entrepreneurial moment. Let's save that for
Okay,
later.
we
We'll work
might
our
not
way up
even
to
have
that
to
one.
get into that. But
Yeah.
the reason
Even
I
better.
like doing that is just, everyone's like, oh, people always, and I talk about this in the show. People always think the people who are successful never struggled, never had it
Oh,
hard. You
jeez.
actually do it well. You do that story
Yeah.
well. So you just do any of those.
No worry. Yeah. Okay. You know what? I guess the garbage man story is a pretty good one.
Yeah, that would be pretty good.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
And so then we just talk about, a lot of what do you think are some of your habits that make you so successful? Um, what you're excited about now? What might have been holding you back before from becoming an entrepreneur? Oh, that's good. That's holding you back, or that's making you successful, the doll.
This is Ariel, the Little Mermaid. Watch this. Bam.
What is she? I can't tell what she's doing here.
Oh,
She thinks it's.
she would turn into a mermaid,
Oh, nice.
and then
Just with the
just
flip
like,
of a flipper.
and then you just go like that, and then back to being
Oh, that's hysterical.
walking on land, and then
Feet, or she still has flippers.
she has kind of feet. So now
Kind
they're
of.
just they're little feet, and then,
That's pretty funny.
yeah.
Very funny.
Okay. Sorry, that's what happens. I've got girls.
I am going to ask you to think about one thing. What would be an internet resource? The example was like Evernote or some kind of tool that you'd like to share with all your listeners. And it might even be something that's on your website, things that you're giving away. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Great.
And then we're going to talk a little bit about travel. Like, what was your best travel experience? What was your best vacation ever?
Oh, I know that one already. Great.
Good. Okay, and that's it. And then the last one is, if you had to start up tomorrow with only $500 and a laptop, and you still have all of your knowledge, what would you do?
Great.
Okay. All right, so that's it. You ready?
I'm ready.
Great. All right, so welcome to Globetrotting Entrepreneurs, where we interview successful entrepreneurs from all over the planet who are going to share their super secrets to success. And with me today, I've got Christian Mickelsen, who I've been working with closely. He's been my coach and mentor for the past year, and he's just been an incredible help for me. And I know he could be an incredible help for a lot of you who are watching and listening to this call here today. And Christian has been a leading authority on personal development and personal coaching. He's the author of How to Quickly Get Started as a Personal Coach, Make Great Money, Changing People's Lives. Anyway, he's got a ton of books, bestsellers, number one bestsellers. How many number one bestsellers do you have, Christian?
Three. Yeah.
Three number one bestsellers. And you wrote these books how quickly?
I wrote them all in a day or less. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Now, I know that is already the envy of most people who are listening and watching this today. So maybe you'll share some of those little secrets with us at some point today.
Sure.
Great. So, but I'm going to turn it over to you, Christian. Why don't you give us a little bit tell us your story.
Yeah. So I have a multi-million-dollar coaching business, and I mostly help other coaches grow their coaching business these days. We have a team of coaches that do the coaching for me, um, and then I take on a few high-end clients myself. And then, of course, we lead, lots of seminars all throughout the year on how to get clients and a lot of stuff on the inner game of success, which really turns out to be where you get the most leverage, where you can make the biggest difference for yourself and for your clients. I've found that 92.8% of our success is all the inner game stuff, and then the other 7.2%, the rest is the strategies and the tactics and the all that stuff, the how-to stuff. So I teach a lot of very powerful tools for people on how to overcome their fears, their doubts, their limiting beliefs, all the stuff that's holding them back. And so a lot of people come to my events to get that healing work, and then also to then learn how to do this healing work so they can do it for other people. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. How I got started is I was a client. 15, 16 years ago, I was in a job that I hated. I had started a business that was going nowhere. I was out of shape. And I was in a relationship that wasn't working. And I heard about coaching, and I started looking for a coach, and I hired a coach. And 9 months later, I had turned everything around. I was out of that relationship, back in shape. I got my business off the ground. I was working for myself full time. I quit that job. And then I was like, wow, this coaching stuff is so powerful. And even though I was in my own job, I didn't love my new job. I was in a new job. I was working for myself in my business. But it wasn't a business I was passionate about. It was just an idea that I had that was like an interesting idea and an interesting business, but I didn't have the passion for that like I do for coaching. And so I started thinking, well, maybe I could be a coach. And then I'm like, well, who am I to coach anybody? My business wasn't necessarily even very successful, but I had friends in my life that thought I was making a big impact in their lives. So I thought, well, maybe I should give it a shot. And so I got 6 clients in my very first month as a coach. But I got myself $72,000 in debt from my other business, and so I had months where things went well, and then all of a sudden clients would go away, and then I'd fall behind on my mortgage, and then I'd catch back up, and then I'd fall behind. And after about 2 years of ups and downs, I started feeling like, man, I just don't know if I can do it anymore. And I was taking out the garbage one day, and I was like, you know what? Maybe it would be better to just be a garbage man and have a regular job. People laugh at that all the time, but when being a garbage man feels more compelling than you're having your own business, something's wrong, right?
So what did you do to change all that? What was your aha moment that said, I don't know, be a garbage man or run your own business and dream of that super successful life? What shifted? What was that shift?
Well, 2 things. Number one, I told my best friend that I was thinking about quitting and getting a job, and he told me I was too good of a coach, that not to give up. And the other was I made peace with my worst fears of not, of losing my house represented ultimate failure in my mind, because now we've had the housing crisis, which is even several years in the rearview mirror. I mean, there's still some effects from that, but losing your house now, it's like, well, it was bad. It was the the economy, it was the real estate market, it was predatory lenders. There wasn't. You could easily not have to take responsibility for and blame someone else for your problem. Back then, so this was 15 years ago, I guess. Back then, all this hadn't happened, and losing your house for me, felt like ultimate shame, ultimate failure. And here I am trying to be a success coach, and if I lost my house, I'm like, oh my God. But I just decided like, you know what? I'd rather be homeless and do what I love. And partly, I think I read a lot of books. One of the books I read is a book called The Prophet. I don't know if you've read that one.
Yeah, by Gilio Gibran.
Yes. And one of the things he talks about is work. He said it's better to be a beggar and beg for food than it is to do work you don't love. And
Oh, hits right there in the heart, doesn't it?
it does. And he says it a million times more beautifully than I just did. And so, I'm reading that and I'm like, it's if you don't love what you do and you're doing this work and you're going to do it with bitterness in your heart, if you're baking bread, you're going to bake a bitter bread. If you are making clothes and you are dreading it and hating it, you're going to be making, that love's not going to be in it. You got to put the love's got to be there. And I was like,
Oh,
I love the coaching. I felt like, what? Worst case scenario, I'm homeless. And I imagined this scenario. I don't know if you saw the TV show back in the day called Kung Fu with Grasshopper.
oh,
And Grasshopper,
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely.
So Grasshopper was this pacifist Kung Fu master. And he would go from town to town, and didn't have a, he would just, people would sort of take him in and give him some odd job or something to do and feed him, and then somehow there'd be some big conflict, and he would try to be I'm just sorry, I'm a passive, I'm just this, and then all of a sudden he'd kick everybody's ass with his kung fu and solve all these problems, and then go on to another town. And so I just thought, what, maybe I'll be homeless and I'll just, I'll kick all everybody's ass with coaching instead of kung fu. I'll solve people's problems, and I'll go from town to town and just be homeless, but still get to do what I love. So this was my crazy fantasy that I had. But by surrendering, like, okay, I lose my house, I lose my car, but I still have me, and I still get to do what I love. I think that was one of the biggest shifts for me. But my friend also, not only did he encourage me, but he also challenged me. He's like, well, let's read a book every week. I'm like, and I'm a slow reader. I read about as fast. I read as fast as I talk, and I don't even talk that fast. So, yeah. So he's like, let's read a book a week. I'm like, I can't do it. Yeah, let's do it. So he challenged me, and I'm like, okay, let's do it. So he quit after 3 weeks, but I read 36 books in 36 weeks: business books, marketing books, personal growth books, spiritual books, and all that stuff just had a powerful, impact on me. And I would take all the stuff that I would learn, and back then there weren't very specific step-by-step strategies for helping coaches get clients. So I would take all these very general ideas, and then I would take them and try to apply it specifically to coaching, and through trial and error, and I would just develop my own ideas and techniques and stuff, and eventually I created a thriving, successful coaching business. And then other coaches saw that I was having success, then they wanted to know what I was doing, so I started sharing some secrets with them, and I had 5 coaches hire me, and I was able to help 4 out of 5 of them get their business to 6 figures within 18 months. One of them did it in exactly 72 days, and that's when I realized that I could just take all the stuff, all my trial and error, all the things I learned from the School of Hard Knocks, I could share it with other coaches, and they could have success a lot faster than I did. So about 10 years ago or so, I just started exclusively helping coaches get clients and grow their coaching.
Fabulous. That's great. That's great. And I'm just looking at something. I've got in front of me here a mug that comes from Christian that says we are swimming in oceans of abundance.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone
Yeah.
watching this can see that.
Yeah,
So
I've got one right here.
tell us a little bit about that. We're swimming in oceans of abundance.
Yeah, we are swimming in oceans of abundance. Money is everywhere. Opportunity is everywhere. We just need to look for it. We need to be open to it, and ideally find one that we're passionate about. We want to find a place where there's opportunity and passion collide, because when those two things meet, I want to say that nothing can stop us. I've been watching a bunch of interviews with Steve Jobs over the last couple of days, and he was talking about how important passion is because, you know, it's hard. Having a business is hard. And, you know, people think that, I mean, there's so many give up points along the way. Like, I wanted to give up back then, but I'll tell you recently, things have been going so well, right? I just did my best year ever. We did $3.2 million last year. And then I've hired a bunch of people, and we're structuring our company and getting people leaders in different spots, taking on things. And then some people aren't like actually doing stuff. And now
Mm.
the month of January was, I don't have our final numbers yet, but probably a month, not probably, certainly a month where I'm taking money out of my pocket and feeding my business my money to keep the
Mm.
business going in the month of January, which that's happened before. It didn't happen at all last year, except for in the month of December, where I went on a spending frenzy to try to get rid of all this extra cash that I would have to give to the government anyway if I didn't spend.
Yeah.
But last year I didn't have any of that. So this first month, to start off that way, not that great. And then I've got a live event coming up next month, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling all this pressure. I've got to make these sales, because I'm like, well, we did $3.2 million in sales last year, but we actually had $2 million, almost $2 million of expenses. Like, I spent $2 million last year. Like, I have to come up with this $2 million. Like, all of a sudden my mind is like, and then I'm like, you know what? Like, screw this. I'm like, I'm just going to fire everybody and just live off all the money I made last year, and not have to worry about anything.
So what you're saying is people, no matter how much money they're making, they're still facing these challenges and they still have all these same issues that you as a coach would deal with if you were talking to a client just like yourself. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I like the problems I have now much better than the problems I had back in the
Yeah.
day. But, you know, yeah, I mean, there are three choices we can make in life that will grow us more than any other choices we could make. The first choice is to get into a relationship with someone. The second choice is to have kids.
Yeah.
And then the third choice is to have your own business. Nothing is going to challenge you, test you, or grow you more than any of those three things, other than things that are outside your control that, God just throws in your way, loss, death, health issues, stuff like that but these are choices. That I'm talking about choices. You can choose to be single, you could choose to not have kids, and you could choose to not have your own business. And those three choices, those three decisions that you have, and there's nothing wrong with not doing any of those things, but those things all I mean, they're going to, you want to grow yourself, you know, nothing's going to grow you more than those three things. And yeah, so anyway, it's a challenge. So you got to love it. You got to love it. And I mean, I mostly get to do what I love every day, and I've got it set up. I mean, I usually work 20 to 30 hours a week. So I have a pretty amazing life, a lot of which is, I credit to my business, and so, man, I love having my business. I love my team. I love having a team. I love where my business is in so many ways. But yeah, all of a sudden I thought, and so then I needed to work on myself. I'm like, oh, I gotta, use these techniques that, like peace process and instant miracle. I'm like, I gotta heal myself up, get rid of all this worry and pressure.
Yeah. So tell me, Christian, you're the coach's coach, basically. You help coaches build a thriving practice and get high-paying clients, right?
Yes.
But you also have a coach, is that right?
Yeah, I
So
do.
even coaches have coaches.
Everybody needs. It shocks me when anybody achieves success without a coach. And honestly, the more I look into it, the more I realize that most people who have success have mentors of some sort, even if they're friends that are mentoring them, or athletics, being coached by like a sports coach. Um, I mentioned again, I've been watching all these Steve Jobs videos lately, and I watched his first keynote when he came back to Apple,
Mm.
and he was announcing how they got rid of most of the people that were on the board of directors were
Right.
gone, and then
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
announced all the new board of directors that were coming on, and I was like, holy shit, pardon my French, but the people he brought in were like such great mentor, like great people these are the people you want to have on your board. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times, board of directors are just people that are there to make, collect a check and maybe give a couple ideas about stuff, but not really that, there's so much crap that happens in corporate America where it's really just about how we can get fat, be the fat cats and feed off the whatever of the company. Yeah, and so he had I don't even remember all the names of the people, but they just who they were, some of which I knew and some of which I hadn't heard of before, but their resume was like incredible. I'm like, wow, that's like he brought in somebody from one of the founders of Oracle, and then he brought in somebody who was a financial whiz who was served as a CFO for two different companies. One of them was Chrysler and helped them during their turnaround. And I'm like,
Okay.
and this is he came back to Apple where Apple went from 11 billion in sales to 9 billion in sales to 7 billion in sales, and so they're on a negative growth trajectory. And so he
Yeah.
wanted to stabilize things and then bring it back up. That was that was the goal. So like bringing somebody that's that smart financially is a great guy to have on your board. Like it just made sense. These were all great people to have on the board. So and I was just thinking about like, wow, and we look at all the success that Apple created. I wonder how much of that was, obviously Steve Jobs' genius, but how much contributions and ideas from the board helped Apple's turnaround. So
So
anyway,
for you,
we all need
having
coaches. We all need mentors. Yeah,
yeah, having mentors and having a team of rock solid people who know what they're doing.
absolutely. Yeah, and I have someone who coaches me regularly, but I also have, I'm in two different masterminds, so I'm surrounding myself with both the leader of the mastermind as a mentor, but also the other people in the masterminds who have great wisdom and great experience and great success too that I can feed off of. So yeah, huge. I think that's the more you can put yourself into those kind of environments. That's I think the one of the best things that you can do is just surround yourself with people who are learning, who are growing, and who are healing. I'm in. I can. I'm. I'm the coach's coach, and I'm becoming the healer's healer.
Nice, nice. Tell us a little bit about that. We haven't talked about that yet. Your instant miracle, as you call it.
hmm Yeah, so it's this gift that I got from my spirit guides, which don't even ask me how that all. I mean, I have a long story version which we don't have time for, but somehow my spirit guides gifted me with the ability to help people heal and shift things instantly, which is why we call it the instant miracle. And I've primarily used it for I started off just using it for myself to heal stuff, fears, doubts, limiting beliefs. And then I started using it with my one-on-one coaching clients, and then I started doing it at my live events. And now I've been doing live events where that's all we do, where we just do the instant miracle and some other healing techniques. And then now I teach other people how to do these techniques. It's a gift I can bestow the gift onto other people.
So for
And
our viewers and our listeners,
yeah,
tell us, can you use that to heal a business? Can a business owner help? Can you use that to help them heal themselves or help it heal their business? How would you apply that?
yeah. Well, one of my mentors is Tony Robbins, and he says that the biggest chokehold on the success of the business is the psychology of the owner.
Yeah.
So we all have doubts, fears, limiting beliefs, limiting thinking. Um, you know, in 2013, my business did 1.2 million. In 2014, my business did 3.2 million. So that's huge growth. And I will tell you, the two biggest breakthroughs that contributed to the success were all inner game for me. And they were, number one, imagining the greatest level of success that I could imagine and would want, and noticing that it actually made me uncomfortable to have all that success. And this isn't true for everyone, but it's true for many people. In fact, I've been testing this, having people imagine all their success and then noticing how it feels. I've been doing this for like the last year or so in different audiences, and then have people raise their hand if they do feel actually some not good feelings when they think about being successful. And it's probably about 65% of people can identify that they don't feel good when they think about having nothing but good stuff happening actually pushes our buttons. So it's an interesting phenomena but that's the number one thing that I did. I released all that so that I could think about having all this success and only feel good about it. Because if you don't feel good, two things can happen. Number one is it's approach avoidance. There's a part of you that wants it. There's a part of you that doesn't. If there's a part of you that doesn't want the success, how much energy is really pushing you forward, and then how much are you kind of unconsciously pulling back, and then how might you unconsciously direct yourself off in some of the wrong directions because maybe you don't want to get directly there. Maybe you're gonna try to go the slow way. We want to try to control. That was another thing too. Is like I felt like I was sliding, like success would be like sliding down a giant slide as a kid, and sometimes I would like grab onto the sides because it was going too fast, and I was trying to control the slide on the way down. And back then they had these, they don't have them anymore. They had these metal slides that had like, and my hand would like get cut on the sides of the slide, but luckily they make them better now. But anyway, so that's one part of it. The other part was specifically, one thing was making, inviting people to sign up for other programs that I have at my, when I was at my live events. I had all this angst about, making an offer or inviting people to sign up with stuff for stuff with me, and that was the hardest thing for me to work through. With Instant Miracle and the peace process and some of these other techniques, we can work through things very quickly. Usually, it used to be that people thought, people can't change, and then people thought, okay, well maybe we can change. And then people would like spend their life in therapy, and then at the end of like 20 years, they'd have one big epiphany, and they're like, oh my gosh, Doc, I think actually this isn't that big of a deal, and I think I can actually do this thing now, So, and now it's like, okay, back in the 70s, then there was NLP, and 70s, 80s, and even today, still, NLP can be somewhat popular. But now there's more and more fast techniques, and Instant Miracle and the peace process and some of the other techniques that I use just work so fast. So most things, get worked through in probably under an hour. Some things with just Instant Miracle, some things will just resolve instantaneously. And not only are these things great for healing inner game stuff, but I've watched people get cured of lifelong migraines, fibromyalgia, thyroid issues, arthritis, gluten intolerance. There's not too many things that I can think of that people haven't been able to get resolved using Instant Miracle. I don't think you can, if you break your arm or something, I don't think you can Instant Miracle it back immediately connected, but it might speed up the healing, I don't know. And then all the other techniques too can help speed things up. But so much of our health issues are psychological or energetic, so there's so much healing can happen so quickly. And so yeah, that's a little bit about that. And people, if you're interested, you could go to instantmiracleexperience.com, and I've got some videos up on that website where you can watch me working with some folks to help them. I don't remember what all the stuff we worked on there, but one person was cured of lifelong migraines right on the spot during the event. And actually, that was one of the events where she got cured. It was one of the events where I teach people to teach people how to do the Instant Miracle. So I actually had her heal herself of the lifelong migraines, and arthritis, and so some physical stuff, but then some emotional stuff, shyness. Somebody was really shy, and we cured that, and all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, I've helped people, there's just everything you could think of, basically. Fear of public speaking. And I've seen, and again, sometimes it's instantly cured with Instant Miracle, and then sometimes you also need to do the peace process. But I've had people, fear of public speaking, Instant Miracle, bam, instantly gone. So most things are pretty quick. But my selling from stage, making offers and invitations from stage, that was one that took me lots of intensive work over the course of several years, actually. That said, that was the toughest one and longest one out of anything I've ever worked on. So
just, I know we're running out of time here a bit. I know you've got to get going there, Christian, but to give us a couple little hints into what your day looks like. What are some of your success habits? What do the first 60 minutes of your day look like?
Well, I don't have great success habits. Okay, I probably have great success. I must have some great success habits, right? But it's not it's not the first 60 minutes of the day. It's
okay.
The first 60 minutes of my day is I roll out of bed, I check my email, I check Facebook, I play games on my phone, my iPhone. I play Words with Friends and Scramble with Friends. And that's if the kids aren't awake yet. And if the kids are awake, then, I don't know, help changing the diaper, making a bottle, going downstairs, having breakfast. So all those things happen. And then I start my work day usually definitely by 9 o'clock. Sometimes I'll get a little early start and start, sometime 8:30, 8:45. But I usually have appointments, and then I just work. My schedule is I schedule everything between 9 a.m. and 12 or 9 and 1. So usually I schedule everything between 9 and 12, and then I might work till 1 or 1:30. But not even too often do I do that. So I usually work from like 9 to 12:30. Most days, Monday through Friday, and then I'll usually work in afternoon once or twice a week. So, because I have crazy Australian people in my life that if I only work from 9 to noon, I limit. I'm not able to help certain people. Although I've got this guy who's potentially, he at least wants to talk to me. I'm not sure if he'll become a client or not, but he lives in Kuala Lumpur, and I don't know if I'm gonna, I would have to, in order for me to talk to him, I've got to talk to him at 5:30 or something, and I don't know if I'm up for that. So anyway, so that's my work schedule. But I usually, everything's I have appointments, and then I just do it. I just do stuff. Also, I think one of my go ahead. Yep.
Is your team who gets done all the other stuff that would normally running a business, a $3.2 million business, and I know you've got a lot of programs and live events and email marketing and copywriting and all that stuff that you do to run your business, both online and live and in person. So you've got a whole team that does all the rest of that allows you to work 20, 30 hours a week. Is that right?
Well, I have 3 thoughts for you on that. Number 1, yes, having a great team. Number 2, by scheduling less work hours, I'm forced to focus on and do the things that are the most important. If you know the whole 80-20 rule, 20% of our actions produce 80% of our results. So I just try to get rid of that other 80% of the actions, right? And then finally, one of my friends is the CEO of Hay House, Reed Tracy, and he has a $100 million business, and he works about 50 to 60 hours a week, or maybe it's 40 to 50 hours a week. Let's say around 50 hours a week. And I asked him, well, how many hours a week? That's to run a $100 million company. You got to work 50, 60 hours a week. And a lot of people tell me I need to work more if I want to grow my business. And I'm like, well, how many hours a week did you work back when you had a $10 million company? And he's like, well, 50, 60 hours a week. And I'm like, how many hours a week did you work when you had a $2 million company? Well, 50, 60 hours a week. So somehow he's able to, like, it's not the size of the company, it's not how much revenue you make, it's how focused you are during the hours when you work. Because
Yeah.
why do people, I mean, I know people who make less money than me, I know make people who make more money than me that just work 60, 70, 80 hours a week, 90, 100 hours. Like, they're always working.
Yeah.
And when I first started coaching and I was working with people who didn't have enough time, I'm like, well, what happens? Like, how do you decide when to go home now? Like, why do you only work 50 hours? Like, there's more work to be done, right? There's always more work. That's the thing. That's the thing about being a business owner is there's always more work to be done than you can ever get done.
Yeah.
Like, there's always more to do. I've never finished everything and then thought, I don't have any ideas about anything else I could do to grow the business. I don't have anything. I might cross everything off my to-do list, but there's still tons more. So it's not about that. It's about just picking an amount, whatever that is. And I don't want everybody to work 20 hours a week unless they want to work 20 hours a week. I know people, I love what I do. Again, so I know other people who totally love what they do, so they want to work 40 hours a week. Hallelujah. If you had all the money in the world and all the time in the world, if you would choose to work that 40 hours, that's great. For me, I like 20. 25 is okay too.
Yeah, and for a lot of
So,
our audience, they want
yeah.
those shorter hours so that they can travel or live the life of their dreams, whether it's staying home and being a stay-at-home dad and being able to spend more time with their kids, or whether it's
Yeah.
being able to spend a month in Italy,
Yeah.
or a month in Australia, or 6 months
Yeah.
traveling around the world. But one last thing for you, Christian. If you had to start all over tomorrow, and it didn't involve firing all of your team, but you had only the knowledge that you have nothing but a laptop and $500. How do you get started? What do you do to get it all back again?
So no email list, no reputation, no contacts, no
No.
website, no assets, just what I have going on inside.
Yeah.
Well, so I would go to local networking events in my area, and um, I would invite people to have a free double your business coaching session with me, and I would take them through what I call free sessions that sell, which is how to sign up, just really how to assess what people need in order to get the results they want, and then how to explain what you do so that they see that your coaching or whatever it is that you do is going to help them get the results that they want. So so I would go over and I would go to all the networking events I could and um, offer all the intro sessions that I could. I would set up a workshop and and invite people that I meet to partner up with me and help me fill my event, and I would give them free sponsorships and free exposure to all the people who are come to the event, and and that's how I would get started, and that would help. So I'd grow my list a little bit from people I meet and from my event, and I would offer those free sessions. I would do a workshop, and I'd offer free sessions at the end of my workshop, and my goal would be to generate at least 100,000, if not $250,000 worth of coaching revenue within the first 30 days, 30 to 60 days, and then from there, I would start looking at finding people I could partner with that have email lists and creating info products and and start building my email list again, and then I'd start doing live events and I think I could get back where I am today. I don't know. It would probably take between a year and a half and 2 years, I think, to get myself back to where it is right now. Probably maybe 2 years with the team, really finding some great people and building up the whole team.
Okay.
But maybe, yeah, something like that.
Great. Great. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Christian, and tell us again how people can reach you.
Yeah, you can just go to christianmickelsen.com, or you can
And
go
how do
to
you spell that?
instantmiracleexperience.com.
Can you spell that for us?
Yeah, Christian
Sure.
Mickelsen is spelled like that religion, Christian, and then Mickelsen is spelled weird. It's spelled Mickelsen, and then instant miracle experience. Those are all regular words, so I'm not going to spell them because I'll probably misspell them. Uh, yeah.
Well, we really appreciate your time today, and it's been great having you on. And I know our viewers and our listeners are going to have lots of questions for you, and you can reach out to Christian and keep checking in with my website at www.globetrottingentrepreneur.com. We've got lots of great stuff for you. So thanks
And
again.
Barbara, I just want to say you are amazing. I love all these interviews that you're doing. I love that you're going for it in such a big way. I love your spirit, and you're a beautiful, beautiful person. Big hugs.